Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Triple Chat. We say a big hello to all our listeners out there tonight and welcome you. We've got a great show lined up. First of all, I'd just like to say welcome to Ken and Lance. Lance, welcome. What kind of a week have you had?
Oh, look, I've had a fantastic week this week. And look, I'll send my apologies. I missed last week's Triple Tap, much to my disappointment, because Kent and Ainsley have been filling me in on how outrageous some of the viewers were in the waiting room, and yeah, I was a little disappointed I missed that. But maybe look, try really hard this week and see if you can break through, guys. Let's see if we can have some fun.
Well, let's hope we've stopped that, Lance, because yes, we certainly do get a lot of trolls and people coming in, but we managed to carry on regardless, because that's what you do in like show business, right? You just carry on regardless of any disruptions. You make the best of what you have. So I think
which one was your favorite, Ainsley? Sorry, I'm buttoning. Which one was your favorite?
Oh, look, there was so many. Might have been the transvestites that did the parade down the, when that came on. So I don't know. It was kind of.
I thought that was cool. The belly button one was I found amusing, but it was all disruptive. So.
He was persistent though, Ken. He did keep coming back time and time again. So,
oh yeah.
Under different aliases. So I'm sure we're going to have some fun tonight, guys. So Ken, how was your week? What kind of a week have you had?
Ainsley, it's been look, so hectic, so busy. I've been getting in trouble a lot for not continuing to build my house, and I'm working on tap, just full steam ahead. I've had a fantastic few interviews with people and meetings with them. David Miles of Miles Research, in particular. This is an Australian company that mitigates severe rain events and severe weather events. And he has the statistical data on quite a famous weather event that he removed from Sydney recently. He's got the data, the live footage, and the actual the facts about what his company was able to do and prevent so much damage and potentially save so many lives in Sydney just recently. So that was absolutely fascinating, talking with David Miles of Miles Research, talking with Debbie Black of Bionicare, which also is an Australian company that uses resonance and frequency devices, which are these devices are completely backed up. She has a license to sell them. It's all totally legitimate medical devices that help people with arthritis in their knees and with in their hands. And very interestingly, she was actually on the ground in Wuhan in 2019 when this mysterious virus broke out. And reluctantly, many of the doctors because just so much was going on, right? So many people were affected. They didn't have enough medical staff to begin with. So they were putting patients with Debbie Black from Bionicare, and wonderfully, 100% of her patients recovered. She never had a loss. Talking with her about that event is quite remarkable. Not only that, I've been speaking with the COVID Medical Network here in Australia, which, as you will be aware and our viewers will be aware, is a team of Australian medical professionals who are not happy with where Australia has gone in this medical dictatorship that we seem to be turning into, a group of medical fascists trying to run our country, who say that they're doing this for the safety of the nation, right? And so let's look at the actually verified statistics for what's going on for the safety of our children. In total, children 0 to 17 years of age in Australia, 5,636 adverse reactions, 9 deaths. 5 of those children were 5 to 11. 4 of those children were 12 to 17. Quite thankful. I mean, that's awful. But quite thankfully, no deaths confirmed or reported in the 0 to 4-year-old bracket so far. But 9 deaths of children in our country, that just breaks my heart. 812 serious cardiac disorders, 474 with serious cases of inflammation. These are the verified facts in talking.
Can I ask the facts that you've got there?
Go ahead.
Are they from people that have actually gone ahead and had the vaccine?
Yeah, these are from people these are from children who've had the vaccine, 0 to 4 years of age, 5 to 11, and 12 to 17 years of age children here in Australia. 9 deaths. It just cuts me up.
Yeah, one death.
Oh, look, anyway, I could go on about it, but the simple fact is, the statement that many Australian doctors are beginning to make is that we have no business jabbing children aged 6 months to 4 years of age, no business whatsoever. And the facts are showing that there is no benefit for those children that can possibly outweigh the risk of injecting those nanoparticles into your child. So please listen to what you're being told. Check out the facts for yourself. Those children can't make that decision. And I shudder to think of the first person in Australia who gets their little baby injected and, within minutes it's dead from blood clots or something, some other nefarious thing.
Surely this is natural selection. If your parents are that stupid, the genetics probably don't want to get passed along anyway. So as tragic as it is, every cloud has a silver lining. So when you make something idiot-proof in life, and this is what we're talking, someone just goes and has the better idiot. So we can evolve in two ways, and this is this as sad as it is, this is surely going to stop the reproduction of these absolute cowardice morons that just want to fill their life full of fear.
Look, you won't get an argument from me on that. As sad as it is, it's a terrible indictment on the lack of research that people make. But let's look at the 12 to 17-year-olds. These are kids in school who are being told you will not play on the rugby league team if you're not vaccinated. Now, I know of those statistics firsthand from the town that I live closest to. These are high school students who aren't allowed to play sport. They're not allowed to do, to participate in activities that they've trained their whole life for. And we've got, and of course, the smart thing to do is to say, well, that's okay. I'm going to let that go because I'd rather be alive, Lance, than the opposite. But it's just terrible, the amount of coercion, unlawful coercion that is taking place. And as we, like we've said before, as the regime changes, and when the regime changes, when the power regime changes, and it's on the other side, and it goes full circle, investigations will follow. And when coercion has been found, and that is utterly unlawful to coerce someone in those situations, when that coercion is found, I'm sorry, the full extent of the law will be brought to bear upon those people who coerce children to do these things. I'm absolutely adamant that I'm going to see that within my lifetime, and I cannot wait to get behind that and get going with that. But there you go. That's the seriousness that we're up to.
Cool. Thanks.
So a massive week this week. Thanks for asking.
Hopefully, Kent, not just children, hopefully the coercion that's been forced upon adults as well. And I know we're all responsible for making our own decisions and doing our own research. And sadly, many have not. They've been what they feel is, forced into doing that. But that's the choice that they made. And sadly, I wish more and more people would go out there and do their research into what they're putting in and on their bodies so that they can live their best life healthily. And if they don't do that, then of course there are consequences for putting poisons into your body that if you're not doing your own research. So, but anyway,
wise words.
Yeah, we're going to get on with the show tonight, guys, because believe it or not, we are up to episode number 12. And tonight we are going
Episode
to,
12.
episode 12. It's gone really quickly, and we've had an array of speakers. We have got some good speakers lined up. And so hopefully for all of you listening out there tonight, we thank you for joining us each and every week. And we have another speaker tonight. She is an amazing lady. I'm going to introduce her now. She's one of our TAP satellite admins, and I absolutely love working with her. She's just a beautiful, beautiful lady. So let me just tell you guys a little bit about her before we bring her on, and then we're going to grill her and going to ask her lots of hard questions. But I know she's up for the challenge because she's good like that. Her name is Kim Robertson, and she grew up in a small mining town in central Queensland. She has a wonderful family who have been awake to and involved in fighting against this tyranny for decades. This has given her an incredible insight to what has been unfolding over the last couple of years. And don't we all know that? She was stood down from the Queensland Police in October of last year, where she worked as a communications operator. After actively fighting with a group of others in the QIRC courts, she joined the local worldwide Rally for Freedom team in Mackay. After watching a video Kent did, many people have seen your video, and that's how they got involved in TAP. And I can say that's how I got involved in TAP after watching your video as well. She got in contact with you for a chat, and a little while later, she created the TAP Mackay satellite group. And I must admit, I met Kim by watching a video that she was doing and really promoting some of the stuff. And I'm like, wow, she's like a really full-on go-getter TAP satellite admin. And so we ended up chatting a lot more. She's been working hand in hand with the Rally team as they switched focus earlier this year to building community, and have been moving forward with this ever since. In addition to the community work, she is passionate about the Awakening series workshop she runs, and hopefully we're going to speak to her a little bit about that tonight. And this is about providing universal knowledge, empowering people to reach their full potential. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome and bring on Kim Robertson from TAP Mackay to the call. Kim, are you there? Turn on your video and yay!
Here she comes.
She's sitting on top of the world.
Hi, Kim.
How are you, Kim?
Always. Hi, Ainsley. Thanks very much for that. And thank you all for having me on tonight. I feel quite honoured to be a guest tonight instead of on the other side. So thank you.
Yeah, cool. Well, we want to find out what some of our TAP satellites are doing in their community. So I guess we've got a series of questions lined up for you tonight. So Kent, Lance, do you guys want to kick it off, and we'll find out?
Well, which one?
I think we'll let Kent kick it off.
Oh, cheers. No worries. Hey, Kim, I was on the phone with you today. Cold in Mackay for you guys up there, yeah?
Apparently it was 7 degrees this morning, which is just ridiculous. I don't do cold very well. 7 for me is like -20.
Me too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll think of you when it gets down to 2 degrees where I live tonight. So, and I'll be rugging myself up to protect myself against it. Hey, Kim, you wear so many hats, and you get so much work done in the freedom movement for this country, and we admire you so much. I know that has an impact on us personally, you personally, and I know it impacts your family, and etc. What motivates you to keep going? How do you manage everything that you're getting done? Because the amount of work that you churn out for the Australia Project and for worldwide rallies for freedom, and I know that you travel immensely. A week for you might take in travel to many different cities. So, how do you keep going, mate? What do you do? What motivates you for that?
I think life motivates me for that. In essence, and understanding where this has come from and really seeing all of that unfold, as particularly over the last 2 years where it's accelerated at an immense speed. I know when I was stood down from the QPS, or when that all started to come into play, I, like many others, was like, oh my goodness, surely not. Surely this cannot be happening this way. It literally was like a blueprint of Nazi Germany, and still is, except they're accelerating at a rapid rate of knots at the moment. So having that background and having a family that has been involved with fighting against this for decades, it was very, very easy to see. And when you've got a passion for life and humanity and you understand what that truly is and what that truly means, then it just drives you to want to make a better world, to help people to understand what is going on and to help them to awaken to themselves to the full potential of who they are, so they can carry on and day by day to get through this, firstly, but also to give them encouragement that it's not the end of the world. It's a movie that we're being played in, and that there is the other side of it. And when you understand who you are and what you're about, when you get to that point, then life is great. When you do service to others, it is such a wonderful, amazing feeling that you can't do anything else. And it drives you to want to do as much as you can to move as many people as you possibly can in the direction of creating a better world, because that's what it's about.
So tell me something, how much do you miss QPS? Because that's about service to others as well. You're there on the phones, dealing with people's problems, assigning them to people to deal with. No one rings up the police service when they're having a good day.
I miss the QPS zero zilch zip, not at all. It doesn't even register on my radar. It's a different kind of service completely. There's a lot of rules and regulations and so forth. As we know, everything is monitored, absolutely everything.
What was the morale like when
Low.
These deadlines were coming in?
Low, very
Yeah.
low, very, very low. And particularly with some of the treatment that some of them had received. I was very fortunate. I was in a very good department where my boss is very understanding. No problems for me experiencing what some of the others went through. But it was very divisive, very, very divisive.
Was there pressure outside of the chain of command? So from your rank and file workmates to take the vaccine?
Yes, I did experience that, only very minor interactions with it. Some of the others absolutely 100% experienced pressure and still are.
And they bought into it, didn't they? They believed what they were doing was the right thing.
Oh, some, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Some people really, really very, very passionate about saving the community and the society and making sure that nobody else catches this horrendous disease that is no more than a bad flu.
Yeah, common cold.
Common cold.
So
and to, yeah.
No, go ahead.
To the point where there is no reason, none whatsoever. But that's not just in that organization, it's across everywhere.
Yeah.
If people are so, it's really what has been quite eye-opening is the amount of people who blindly believe that the government will not hurt you. Now, it's really indoctrination to its full capacity. And we know how that's happened. And it's been a gradual climb to this point of having total reliance on government to supply everything, supply solutions, supply monetary funding, supply absolutely everything. And they cannot believe that the government would do something like this to them or participate.
It's been a big change for a lot of people. You can go back 60 years ago and the older people in our audience will understand this. Government was purely a service provider in a user pay system. So if you wanted the service, they would provide it, you'd pay for it, and that was a contractual agreement and everyone was happy. Now they still trap us in that service provider, but there's no option now to exit. And so that's what's transformed in government. But it's when we get really good people. I had 2 QPS officers at my house this week. Absolutely lovely. Were really there to do the right thing, right? And believed in everything they're doing. And, you know, I look into my heart and I think there's a good person in that body. There's a good spirit in that body. And it's when good people do nothing, that's when we have a problem. And that goes right through life. When people stand by and watch the government willfully break all of the laws, then we become lawless. And that's where we've been since the start. And it just really brings it home for me that you were with QPS. And that was the citizens' line of defense. Their job is to uphold the law. And they let us down.
They did. And there is a lot of good people in there. There really is. I think a lot more are starting to wake up. And just going back to what you said there, Lance, the difference between service to others in the QPS and service to others in what I'm doing now is that we have the freedom to create a new world with no restrictions, so long as it is for the highest good of all involved. And that is the difference. And that's a really important thing to understand and live by. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping others in those situations with the phone calls, and some of them were pretty heightened. For a lot were, but this and what you guys have created, it offers you the opportunity to create a better world, a better place to live, have a better understanding of what's available to us rather than the indoctrination. It allows the creativity to come out in not just you, but the community and the people that you're working with. And that is so important.
Kim, if I just may ask, that sort of segues in, you know, giving service to others. We heard that you got involved, you heard from Kent when you watched a video, but what made you decide to actually get involved with the Australia Project, and in particular, to actually decide to set up your TAP satellite group in Mackay there?
So for a while, I was heavily involved in the QRC court case with the police. And once that was sort of winding down, then I was introduced to Teen from Worldwide Rally for Freedom. And Teen and another lady, Lisa, had started that just over a year ago now. And they were doing just amazing things. Started off very small and had grown very, very quickly. Every week, it was dedication and quite incredible. So they welcomed me with open arms, which was wonderful. And we were all talking about it one night and discussing it. And I really had liked what Kent had said and the conversation that I'd had with Kent afterwards as well. It didn't happen immediately just due to time constraints and the things that were going on at that time. But we decided that TAP was the way to go. Now, I looked at a lot of other things that were going on and had, you know, right through, always you keep your options open and see who else is coming up with what and where it's going. Every single time I keep coming back to TAP because things happen. It's not just about talking about it, it's implementation. Yeah,
well, I can say we're glad you keep coming back to TAP.
Well, I never left.
But, like, you're such an important part of the team, and we do a lot behind the scenes that a lot of people never see. And you know, we're working on some exciting projects that are coming forward now with full speed. And I've been watching a lot of the the pretenders, and they're sort of stuck. It's like a record that just keeps going round and round in circle. They're not moving forward. They're not creating anything. They're just caught in, they're caught in their own matrix that they've created. And it really infuriates me when I hear people say phrases like, when we're in government, right? Do we need to wait till we're in government? Because we're never going to be in government. But do we need to wait till we're in government to make these changes?
Oh my God, no. Absolutely not. Change happens when you make it happen. If you're going to wait until we're in government, we're going to be waiting an awfully, awfully long time, and that's not okay. It's not. If people want change, take it on board, take the responsibility, and just do it. That's it. It's that simple. If you want to participate.
Sorry, Kim, it reminds me of that saying, be the change you wish to see in the world. You're so right.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to, you've got to make it happen. It just doesn't happen on its own. So you keep waiting for a savior. You keep waiting for somebody to step up to the plate and change this whole thing, turn this world around. Not going to happen.
It's up to us.
You have to do it. Yeah. Yep. Really is.
I was talking with that wonderful political strategist James Darby this week. I've been spending a bit of time with him. He's told me a story about when he was young, and he would go fishing, and he was taught to fish with one fish hook, and he was sitting there and he just went, well, why one fish hook? So he would put 5 different fish hooks on with 5 different pieces of bait to try and maximize the amount of fish that he could get, because he was hungry and he wanted fish, right? And when we apply that to the challenges we're facing at the moment, we see a lot of, TAP's working on a lot of different things, and you've been working on a lot of different things. And one of those things is street reps. We have a lot of work going on with our First Nations people. We have, of course, the TAP satellite groups. And we're finding that the multi-pronged approach, or multiple fishhook approach that we're taking, is actually bringing about heaps of benefit. And the benefit you talked about before, the feeling you get when we perform service for our fellow man and for our fellow Australians, and just people who need help, it's wonderful. Kim, what's some of the cool stories that you can tell us? At least maybe one cool story of being able to help someone. Like, it's a tough question, because there's so many things that you're actually achieving.
I think I'm going to take this up a level from the individual. And, since we started to introduce, shift our focus from rallies to building community, we really have a great community in Mackay anyway, a great freedom community. In fact, people come from all around to participate in this and see what it's like, and they get quite sad when they have to leave. But it's a different kind of community. And one of the things that really stands out for me is that when people start to participate, so we have a backyard community garden process happening now. When they start to participate, it's a different kind of community, because they're participating, they're helping, they've got a goal for a better future, and you see the spirits rise. You see the shake off of some of the troubles of the world, if you like, leave their shoulders, because they now too are participating in service to others. And that is extremely uplifting. So I guess on a bit more of a bigger scale from that perspective, you notice the difference. And just by implementing these programs into your community, it really gets people motivated and starts to give them a different perspective on just staying in the phone, staying in the fear, staying in the the world is going to end kind of mentality, or waiting for someone else to come and do it. So it's a really important factor.
Look, I couldn't agree with you more. When I've noticed it personally for myself, when I print out a street rep flyer and then go and deliver to the little community that I live in, it's I'm not living in fear. I'm getting out there and educating my whole community. And then later I talk with the publican who says to me, Kent, I really love that flyer, the last flyer you delivered, and then we end up involved in a discussion with that. And there's people who disagree, who've said to me, please don't deliver to my letterbox anymore. I'm like, okay, no worries. So because I'm known in this community and they know who's doing it. And so they can come and see me because they know where I live and they know where I'm working on my house. So they come and see me and say, hey, look, I don't want that anymore. I'm not. And I've also had someone come back to me afterwards and say, look, I know I told you I didn't want to, but just deliver them. I'll throw out the ones that I don't want, but I really love the last one, and they saw it from their friend's house. They didn't see it from the letterbox because I didn't deliver it to them. So, getting out involved in physical activity, and I know I'm just talking about the street reps application at the moment, but getting out and being involved in physical activity, joining with your neighbours in strengthening your community and educating your community, and meeting all the people in your community. As that happens, it doesn't happen all the time. In fact, mostly when you're delivering, you don't meet people, but invariably you do meet some people and you meet new people all the time. It's just, it has a hugely positive effect in your life. And even just one person delivering a few pamphlets to letterboxes in their community, it gets other people talking, and it strengthens the community, strengthens the communication program, and it starts to help people have courage. And just when you help people have courage and they step outside of themselves and start to realize, hey, we're going to win this. We're actually making positive steps. In fact, such hugely positive steps that the federal government of this country is now trying to react to achievements that we're helping to bring about in this country. That's an incredibly good feeling, and it's incredibly good to have you along with that journey with us. I'm blown away by it myself, and I know it's almost like I'm trying to give my comment now, but I'm just super grateful to be here with you.
Well, I've got another question for Kim, because yes, you're right.
Yeah.
We have so many more cool flyers coming up for street reps. We could do a whole segment just on street reps, but tonight it's about Kim. So Kim, why is it so important that we never give up when fighting this war? Because we know it's not a physical war, or maybe it is. This is very much a spiritual war going on at the moment. So how does one keep going without losing faith and hope? Because there's a lot of people out there really struggling to come to terms with this. It's been going on for 2.5 years now, nearly 3 years. So, what would you say to people out there? How do they keep going without losing faith and hope?
Know that this is done. We have already won. We are over the line 100%. What we are seeing happen now are the last vestiges of these people playing out their last cards, but they have no power. There is enough people who are awake. And you're right, it is a spiritual war as well. And the difference is, when you have enough people who are working for the highest good, who are working in the light, the power of that is so much more than those working in the dark. And that has strengthened over the last year in particular, where people have woken up. So when they start off by just saying that one simple word of no, it kicks off a chain reaction. As the thought process then is, why did I say no? What else should I be saying no to? Then it goes down the line of questioning. Then the rabbit holes open up, and before they know it, their whole world has changed around. So as soon as you do that very first step in that direction, then there is no going back, because you can never go back to not knowing. And as a collective race on this planet, we have enough now that have had said no and have gone down the road of recognizing not just what is going on, but who they are and the power that they hold. We have enough to turn it around, and it's already done. We just have to get through these last bits, and we, every single one of us, have to participate in building this better world.
Cool. You talked about the Awakening series. Can you just give us a little bit more insight as to what you're doing there with the Awakening series, and, you know, maybe how people can get involved?
Yeah, so it ties hand in hand with it. So I was very fortunate to grow up in a household, again, with my parents and my brother. We're all very tight knit, and they used to hold seminars on learning about who you are and, you know, different levels of consciousness and what that means. For many years, I went off and played overseas and, you know, lived life, and then really got back to having a look at myself again. But I had the groundwork done already. As I went through my own journey, you start to unpack yourself and really take a good look and understand what your life lessons have been about and how they have made you who you are, and that how grateful you are for all of those lessons that you've been through in your life. When that happens, you start to come into your own power. And when you get to that point, it gives you a completely different perspective on life, on everything, on life, on death, on how you live your life. So having gone through that process, and by no means have I stopped, you never stop learning. I've always really wanted to be able to pass some of that knowledge, and it's universal knowledge, onto others, to empower them to have a look at themselves and to really go down that journey of self-introspection. Because particularly in these times, with self-introspection and introspection and understanding who you are, it gives you great discernment as well. And particularly in these times, on the physical level, on the non-physical level, on the spiritual level, on whatever level, it doesn't matter. It is extremely important to have that discernment, because there is so much misinformation. But I'm really passionate about being able to provide the knowledge and the tools to others, to give them the opportunity, or not give them, they have that anyway, but to provide the space for them to gain that knowledge, to start to look at who they are and understand how much power we have as an individual, and then collectively. What works for the microcosm works for the macrocosm, and it's exponential when you start to have a look at it that way. So I'm really, really passionate about that whole side of things.
So the first time I met you, Kim, was after the Convoy to Brisbane rally, and you guys were involved heavily with the organisation of that, and Kent was going to speak at that rally, but that rally got hijacked. Was that a bad thing though? Because we got to spend time with you after that event, and with some really cool people after that event. You know, are things happening by chance, or are things happening perfectly by design?
Absolutely, perfectly by design, 100%. Synchronicities are happening all over the place. There are no coincidences. And I'm grateful for that happened that day, because then the association is not there. And not that we wouldn't welcome that with open arms if circumstances were different, but right at this point in time, the association is not relevant.
I remember when it happened. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
No, you go, Kent.
I was going to say, I remember when it happened, and that that particular person came out and said, no, Kent Brown from the Australia Project is not allowed to speak. And it made me wonder, because the Australia Project's message has remained utterly consistent from day one. The Australia Project does not want your money. The Australia Project is here to help join together the freedom fighters of this country who are aligned with producing good work in their community to free this country and ultimately to spread out to the rest of the world, to free this country from the terrible, terrible corruption that exists within the government of this nation. That's always been the goal, and we've never strayed from it. We've maintained our focus. We've operated as professionally as we can from a completely volunteer perspective. The people in the executive, we don't receive a cent. We give a lot of our own time and our own money towards making sure this is a success. And it made me think, why do they not want me to talk? And like you say, now, what we've seen these other groups dissolve into, and particularly the leader of one of those groups, who presents himself as if he's suffering terrible hardship, and I certainly don't want to mention any names, but I was having a discussion with a couple of police officers who have been carrying out some investigations, and they are well aware that the person who runs that organisation, and I'll talk with you about this later, guys, off air, is actually engaged in airplane flights to other countries, and now ensures that the pilots that fly these charter planes that this person is traveling on are completely unvaccinated, will not fly with anyone who's vaccinated. And while this person is presenting themselves as if they're undergoing terrible hardships, they're actually capable of chartering a plane and traveling to another country on a private jet. It's all very interesting. So you're 100% correct. I want to reiterate that. And I want to thank you to those wonderful Queensland police officers who passed that information on to me. I can assure you they are working for good in the background. I just, it is flabbergasting that that we had worked so hard. You had worked so hard, and I was refused to be allowed to talk. That was a real eye opener for me.
So ultimately, there is a space for that, but that's not TAP space. That's not the Australia Project space.
Yeah.
Just not an alignment. That's all. Just different spaces, different paths.
Oh, look, I agree. People are doing good work. We get a lot of criticism, and I'll ask you this because you've been a part of the team now for a while. We get a lot of criticism by our by other freedom movement groups because they collect money, we don't, and they say, look, these guys are just keyboard warriors. Have you seen any keyboard warring stuff go on in the Australia Project?
No, and in fact, I think sometimes we're quite bad at actually doing the keyboard stuff.
We're terrible at keyboard stuff.
We could do a little bit better with it. So all of us. So no, absolutely not. No. It's I know obviously how hard everyone is working to get these different initiatives off the ground. And it doesn't matter that it's not splashed all over the show on every Telegram page, Facebook page, Twitter page, or whatever other social media page, because we're busy doing. We're not busy talking about it. And it's one of the things that I stress to people quite often is, they'll ask me, how did you get to where you are? Or how did you guys in Mackay get to where you are? And it's very simple. We do. And we act, we do. Stop
Mm,
talking, go do.
mm, mm.
That's it.
That's what it's all about. We can't stress enough actionable packages. If you're if you're on a program where you can't measure the results, you're wasting your time. You need to be able to see the result. Look, it's like new school, and that's why Cold come on board. Education, guys, fundamentally important. Tap street reps, right? We started off with the letter campaigns. We have got so much stuff. The satellite groups, just awesome people, doing fantastic work all over the place. Now, satellite groups, we'd like to encourage more. What's your advice to people who are thinking, oh, it sounds like a lot of work? I know it is a lot of work, but are the rewards there?
Oh, 100%. They really are. I say go for it. If you've got the time on your hands, even if you don't have the time on your hands, grab a couple of people to help you out. Just do it, get involved, find out what initiatives are on the table, start to get your community involved and move forward with it. The satisfaction that you will personally get from that, from seeing others being lifted by it, you cannot get anywhere else. And again, I need to say, in Mackay, we are incredibly lucky to have such a wonderful team of people who do just that, who do get together, who do make plans, and who do act. And we see the difference, we see the changes, and we see the tightness of our community come together. So if you're thinking about doing it, even if you don't have the time by yourself, just get a group of people together who are like-minded and watch it grow. It's like a flower blossoming. It just unfolds. Because when people get involved, you find more and more people come forward with their skills, with their attributes, with what they can contribute. And all of a sudden you've got different things happening, different workshops happening, different initiatives going forward. And it's incredibly positive and uplifting for not just yourself, but for everyone around you. Just go do it.
Kim, can you share some of those initiatives that you guys are doing in TAP Mackay, just to give our listeners a bit of an idea of what are our TAP satellite groups doing in their communities? Because we're all slightly different. We all do things slightly different, but there's some really great initiatives coming out from our TAP satellite groups when we get together with leaders each week. So can you just share some of those initiatives that the TAP Mackay is actually being involved in?
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned the backyard community gardens before, so they're up and running. We've got the up to the third one now, plus a couple of other ones that are just need a bit of a tidy up. So that's a really great initiative. We've started with that bringing produce down to our Saturday meetings. That's a little bit slow going because it's in its infancy stages, but not just food, also different products that people are making. We've just one of our ladies has just made some Wi-Fi disbursement devices, your orgone, what do you call them?
Orgone.
Yeah, orgone. Yep, to help disperse the Wi-Fi in your home. So that got underway. Just today, spoke to some people, so it looks like we'll probably have some martial arts classes running soon. Yep. We've got some chem busters up already. We've got the PMAs about to get underway for our community. We're looking at working with the originals on a couple of projects. It's actually just waiting to get an appointment with somebody who might be able to just provide some humanitarian funding for some land. Then we can go ahead with our new school. We'd like to put a health hub on there, have a meeting place and a garden in there as well. So currently sourcing the funding for that. And there's quite a number of other things that are going on as well. But
you're doing something with the farmers too, aren't you?
Yes, so we are not just us or me. There's a group of us from a number of different spaces and organisations who have gotten together, and we've created the group for the National Farmers Group and also the International Farmers Group. So that's really getting the farmers on board, and more are coming on board thanks to the hard work of a lot of people who are involved with this. Getting the farmers on board so they can actually take over the initiatives to get the paddock to plate happening. Many of them want to see changes. Many of them are going through their own struggles with whether that be graziers or within the produce area. And it's unfolding at a rapid rate of knots. But in addition to that, we've got the international community established, and more are coming on board all the time so that we can talk to each other around the world, find out what's happening, share ideas, and hopefully help each other out with things that are working, things that might not be working. So it's absolutely incredible. It's going to take off, I think, at a rapid rate of knots. Well, it already is with all of the people who are spending so much time talking to different farmers and getting them on board, putting a directory together of things that are existing. For example, the One Cow Initiative, I think they've got a lot of farmers on board where they deliver their meats. The small producers in their local farming communities will go onto that database as well. So that's available for everyone to see what's going on in their own communities. So it's a really great initiative, and we've got some fantastic people on board working on it. So hopefully we'll see that start to unfold pretty quickly.
I recently went to Cairns and spoke to a group, and they booked one venue which was going to hold probably up to 100 people. And the organisers said, "Look, Lance, we think it's getting a lot of momentum. There's a bit of excitement, and we're going to try and book the bigger venue." And we pretty much filled 400 seats at the venue. The common theme was, in these communities, you start to see a good spread of families, and you start to see a good spread of men, which is not something that I see a lot of. Now, there's some awesome people I speak to at the coast in Brisbane, Sunshine Coast. I don't see a lot of men there. They're usually underrepresented. Up in Cairns, because, well, it's Cairns, Kuranda, they're in a community, and they're happy, and they're engaged, and they all know what's going on. 400 people, I asked one question, hands up who watches the news. Not one hand went up. It blew me away. All right, so they're making those positive changes in their life because they're in an environment that supports that. And I think that's the thing that we can't underrate, is that Kim's working with people that she knows and trusts, building a community in Mackay, and that becomes the basis of a new society where everyone wants to achieve good, and where we leave a lot of those sins behind, the 7 deadly sins, the tough ones.
Kim, I just want to address the issue. So in our main
people and stuff like that.
Sorry, we had a little bit of a pause there, so I wasn't sure if we had a bit of a glitch or something, but if you can hear me, Kim, in the main Telegram discussion channel, we have a lot of spam and trolls, which we're obviously constantly cleaning up and booting out, like they're everywhere. Do you find in your TAP satellite group that you experience that too? And if so, how do you handle that? And what can people look out for to help them identify those people that are plants or trolls that are coming in to constantly disrupt us?
Yeah, I think we all do. I think we all get those every now and then. So for me, an opportunity to put themselves right. And if it doesn't happen, it's see you later. But people really need to be aware of what that means, and they work on so many different levels. So the things that you need to really look out for are these people specifically causing fear? Are they using whatever tools they've got, whether that be their own posts or polls or whatever, to create a divisive environment? Are they trying to split the group or get them to argue, put people down, belittle them, make them feel like they're not worthy of even existing in that space? If it's a somebody who builds you up. So all of their information that they might be putting up there might be correct for a little while. All of a sudden, a couple of things come in which don't fit, and then more and more and more. So in those cases, they're building their following only to let them down. So it's really important to look out for the words that they're using, the way that they're using their speech, whether they're actually leading you off down a different path. Are they divisive? Are they causing fear? Are they putting people down to the point where they don't want to participate in things anymore? These are the key things that you need to look out for, because they are, and they do.
I think Telegram was set up as a deep state operation. That's what I believe. I believe that they spam the accounts that are effective, and the use of spam to drive people to other sites. And that's what they do. And number one complaint is not content. And number one complaint is always, you guys have too much spam. And it got so bad at one stage, we'd post on the main page, we would get 56, well, I think was the highest I ever deleted, 56 spam posts. And it's a lot of work to keep that under control.
Sure is.
Yeah, or automatic spam posts that just kick off as soon as you post. You've got all of a sudden 30 seconds later, there's 56 people who've had these massive complex replies in the comments. And of course, they're just, auto-generated.
Yeah, I did want to add one thing too on the community, and I think this is really important. We have a common law group here who is run by a wonderful man, Glenn, and in their executive team, another lady, Lynn, and they do such wonderful good. It's with national common law. Now, it's really important, I think, for people just to have a look and to think about actually creating, if they haven't got a common law group in their areas. And the reason for this is that it's not to use it for now, but instead up for when things start to turn around. And I think it's a really prevalent point just to get across there, because it is going to come into play. When we start to see things turn around a lot more, it is going to be extremely relevant. And for you to have a group of people who understand what that is about, how it works, and the difference between a common law court and a normal court is a really important factor in your community. So I just wanted to put that little bit in there because I forgot to mention that before.
I love the common law groups around Australia, and I call it common sense law or universal natural law, and I know we're heading that way. So while the courts will be extremely different, we still need people that can organise it. We're going to need people who can prosecute certain crimes in those courts. We're not going to need barristers and solicitors, guys. Unfortunately, you can save your money because you'll have to defend yourselves against the charges if charges are brought. But no one knows the situation better than you do. And you won't be judged by a judge, you'll be judged by a jury of your peers. So a much better system than what we've got now. Harder to corrupt. 12
Absolutely.
people in one. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Kim, I'm talking in a little town in northern New South Wales called Murwillumbah this Saturday. I'm going to be posting those details up. The TAP Murwillumbah team are working hard down there, so I'm going down to speak with them. And Murwillumbah is absolutely fantastic with a privately owned business strategy where when shops were told you can't let anyone come in unless they're vaxxed, they simply put signs up out the front of their shops that said, "Your private medical business is none of my business. Welcome into my business." And people would just walk in, and it was fantastic, right? And the whole and a lot of privately owned businesses in that town ran that campaign and stood up for truth, right? So I'm off down there this Saturday. What's the next upcoming thing event that you've got in Mackay or thereabouts? What's the next one you've got coming up? Give it a plug, mate, if you've got something coming up.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I've stumped you.
You have.
You've stumped me with
That's
that
what
one.
happens when you go off script, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, he may have stumped you with that one, but I'm going to ask you probably a fairly easy one before we close tonight. If you could leave one piece of advice or words of encouragement for our listeners out there, what would it be?
I would say believe in yourself, work together, come together as a community, build what you want to see a community to look like. Don't wait for anybody to take you down that road. Just go out and do it and see the changes that happen. Love the changes that happen, because they do. Just embrace it, embrace life, and start to go forward. That's fine.
Wow.
That's beautiful,
Yeah.
Kim. Kim, we've absolutely been thrilled to have you on board. You are an absolutely hardworking woman of integrity and honor. You are such a beautiful soul. I know I'm personally blessed to know you as a person and as a human being, and we are all blessed to have you on the team and being part of our TAP satellite communities. If anyone else wants to start up their own TAP satellite community, please go to the australiaproject.org website and find the TAP satellite group closest to you. If you can't find one, then please do think about setting up your own TAP satellite group and helping the community and the people around you, because we're certainly here to support you. And each week our admins for our TAP satellite groups meet every week, once a week, to just be around like-minded people and then keep them up to date on what's happening with all the projects and all the initiatives that are going on around us. So thank you, Kim. It's been wonderful to have you. Thank you, Kent. Thank you, Lance.
See you
Thank
next
you,
week,
Ainsley.
guys.
Thanks, Kim. See you
And
guys.
thank you all.
Thanks
Thanks a
everybody
lot.
for listening. Go out, have an
See
amazing
you.
week, be unshakable and unstoppable, and we'll see you next week on Triple Tap. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye.